Do you want to level up your class on Wynncraft? Then this is the perfect guide for you. Welcome to the ultimate 1-to-106 leveling guide for Wynncraft 2.0. This guide will focus on grind spots, but you can of course use other content such as quests, dungeons, raids, or discoveries to level up. There will be one spot for every 5 levels, but you can of course use them for longer as well. Just know that there are options. Lastly, timestamps for each level range will be down below. Let's get started. For level 1 to 5, we're going to go to the outside of the Decrepit Sewers dungeon. Now at this hill the spawn rates are pretty good, but you're not going to get overwhelmed, so it's a pretty good spot for low level grinding. Moving on to level 5 to 10, we're going to this cobwebbed tree at the border of the Nivla forest. And the reason that it's for level 5 to 10 is because when you're going solo, it can be a bit difficult to kill these mobs at only level 1. For the levels 10 to 15, we're going to the outskirts of Deathless, where you can find this pit of mushroom mobs. Now, some of these mobs, the ranged mobs for example, can be quite annoying. So just make sure you've upgraded your armor over in the city before you take this spot on. Moving on to level 15 to 20, we're going to this little spot outside of Deathless on the road to Nemract. The spawn rates here are pretty good, and it's good enough to level up. But of course, a mob totem will help increase the spawn rates. Next up, for level 20 to 25, we have Saints Row. This one has a quest requirement, so you have to do the level 20 quest Grave Digger to unlock this spot, or at least you have to start it and get to a certain stage of the quest. Moving on to level 25 to 30, but also you can be here at 20 up to level 40 if you have good armor, that is. We have the Mount Wind Spider spot. The spawn rates here are insane, but you can easily get swarmed. So if you're doing this solo, you don't need a mob totem. But if you have a friend or two, a mob totem will give you some crazy XP. For level 30 to 35, we have this little pyramid out past the river in the Almouge Desert. Now, the annoying thing here can be the range mobs that spawn on top of the pyramid, but the respawn rates for these melee mobs is super high, so you don't actually need a totem for this location. Moving on to levels 35 to 40, we have this little cave with magma slimes over in the Rhymic Mesa. The spawn rates here are pretty okay, they're pretty decent, but of course a mob totem will help, but it's more so that they're pretty easy to kill and there's not any ranged mobs, so you should be fine here survivability wise. Next up, for level 40 to 45, alternatively even 40 up to 55, we have the Levagar Spider Cave. Now this spider cave has some great respawn rates. The larger spiders are harder to kill, but they give you some crazy XP. You don't actually need a totem, but if you have a friend or two, you can have a totem to boost that XP as well. And then if you die or anything, you'll respawn right in Levagar, which is really close by. For levels 45 up to 50, we have the Lusoko Caverns. Right next to Lusoko, we have this huge cave with these golems and some other zombie mobs as well, but it's mainly the golems we're after. They're not too annoying, they move slowly so you can escape them pretty well, and they give a good amount of XP. Just watch out for the loot cave that has like an entrance in the floor, so it will open up, so just don't accidentally fall in there, because then you have to run through that entire cave system. Just up here, spawn rate pretty good, a totem also will help of course. For the levels 50 up to 55, we have the Great Bridge. Now on top of the Great Bridge, you might be in danger, but just go to the center, press the buttons, and drop down. And down here we only have the magma slimes. They move slowly, so you're not in too much danger. They're not archer mobs, and they spawn actually really well. The spawn rates are pretty good, and you don't really need a totem. For the levels 55 up to level 60, alternatively even between level 40 up to 70 if you have a grind party, you have the herb cave lower. Now the lower section of the herb cave have these stronger mobs, but they do give more XP. So it's a pretty good spot, as you can tell. But you need a grind party to make it usable up to the higher levels. But if you're solo, you're gonna have to switch up for some different spots. For the levels 60 up to 65, we have the upper section of Herb Cave. Now the mobs here are not as difficult to kill as the lower section mobs, but they are higher levels, so it will give you a bit of an easier kill if you're doing this solo. Moving on to level 65 up to 70, we have this tribal cave at the very end of the Diurnal Jungle, right next to the Wynn excavation site, the ruins. This cave has pretty good spawn rates, and the mobs aren't too difficult, but they do give a good amount of XP. There is one mage mob though that has more health but also rewards you with more XP, and it only respawns one at a time. For level 70 up to level 75, we have the Temple of Legends training area. Now, this is locked behind a quest, so you have to actually complete the quest Temple of the Legends, which is level 68. But the mobs in here have crazy respawn rates, and they're not too OP. You will of course probably have to get some upgraded armor, but you don't need a totem or anything. They respawn, and it's never less than 5 mobs at a time. For level 75 up to 80 if you're solo, or level 60 up to level 80 if you have a grind party, we have the very well known waterfall location. Now the spawn rates in here are very good, especially with a totem. The mobs can be a bit more difficult to kill, that's why it's 75 to 80 if you're solo. Now if you have more people, you don't need to be as high level, but other than that, this is a legendary spot. For the levels 80 up to 85, we have the Bandit Hideout right by the quest start for a Marauder's Deuce level 83. Now this hideout has pretty good spawn rates. Outside there's always bandits as well, but yeah, they're not too strong, they're pretty easy to kill at level, and they spawn pretty well. You don't need a totem or anything. For level 85 up to 90, we have the Frozen Heights. Now these mobs have pretty good spawn rates. It used to be one of the best spots in the game, but now it's been a bit nerfed. But it's still pretty good for at least this level range. Now the mobs move slowly, so that's to your benefit because you can easily dodge them. And there's only like one range mob, which is a blaze that falls accidentally from the sky. It's not actually supposed to be there. But other than that, this is a great spot to level up. For level 90 up to 95, we have the Basalt Cave. Now this cave has level 88 mobs, but they are really good for this level anyways. The respawn rate is very high. The only downside would be that there are ranged mobs in the back trying to constantly shoot you. But you don't need a totem, as you can see. There's a great spawn rate at all times. Next up, we have the Quercus Scrapyard, right behind the Fallen Factory dungeon. This is for level 95 to 100 if you're doing this solo, but if you are in a party, you can do this spot between levels 80 to 105. And as you can see, the respawn rates are really high. They can only be a bit tricky because they're very difficult to kill, and they sometimes can kill you before you kill them. Moving on to level 95 to 100, we have the Angel Island right behind Omsword, or right next to Omsword. The respawn rates here are pretty good, the mobs aren't too difficult to kill, and they give you a good amount of XP. Another alternative spot for level 95 to 100 is the Frozen Fort. This is at the sort of border, the eastern border of the Sky Islands mountain range. The mobs here have really good respawn rates. They can, however, be a bit tricky to kill sometimes, so you only benefit from bringing a friend or two. And lastly, we have the Bulb Church. This one is for level 100 to 106. So you can do it to 105, but this is also the sort of only good spot to get from 105 to 106. Now, you have to do, or at least start and get to a certain part of the Journey Beyond quest that's level 100. So you have to do that quest to access the Silent Expanse. But right sort of on the path to Lutho, you can then take a separate path to get here. Respawn rates are really good. The mobs can of course be pretty difficult to kill sometimes, so you benefit from bringing a friend or two, or even a whole party. And that was it for my 1 to 106 leveling guide. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like and a comment down below and subscribe if you want to. You don't have to. But anyways, that has been it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.